much of Kirby's briefing today, but can you bring us up to speed on what exactly happened today with regard to the flights and the thousands? I think one of the generals said that it was in the thousands of Afghans who were delayed for 6 hours today when they were alerted that Doha had shut down. So is Doha, is the site in Doha, has it reopened? Is the throughput at equilibrium yet, or are all of those flights now headed to Ramstein?
Well, the status of the facility in Doha didn't change. It just reached a point where we thought it imprudent, the military thought it imprudent, to continue relocation flights from Kabul to Doha until we were able to move some of the individuals in Doha to other locations.
Is that still the case?
No, that is not the case. And again, you'll need to talk to my Pentagon colleagues about this, but they briefed that there was a brief operational pause. That pause is now ended. As I was telling Kylie and Nick, we have now been able to transfer individuals from Doha to other locations, including to Ramstein Air Base. I should also say that this is not just a purely military relocation effort. When individuals arrive in Qatar, especially U.S. citizens, they have charter options, they have commercial options, and that will continue to allow us to relocate individuals with some alacrity from Doha, and even more so now that we have additional sites coming online, have already come online, and will come online in the coming hours and coming days.
So just to clarify, the people who were flown to Ramstein today, they came from Doha. It was not that they went from Kabul to Ramstein.
That's correct.
They went from, the flight still went from Kabul to Doha, and there were flights from Doha to Ramstein.
That's
right?
correct. That's
Why
right.
not just go from Kabul to Ramstein?
This is an operational question better directed at DoD, but my understanding is that it is more efficient, including for fuel purposes, if the flights go from Kabul to Doha. Yes, definitely. I'll come back to you, Connor. Is that okay? Definitely.
Can I just clarify something
Sure.
from the top quickly? You listed countries where Americans and some others will transit through.
That's right.
Are they flying directly to those countries listed from Kabul or are transferred from Doha?
So in most cases, individuals will transfer through a country like Qatar or a country like Bahrain, countries that are in the region, again, for efficiency of flight, for efficiency of fuel as well. And then from those locations, if they are American citizens, for example, there will be charter options, there will be commercial options. Some of you may have seen that some State Department charters have already arrived and have been arriving in the United States over the past hours, and so that will continue. Connor.
On the pause that Lara was asking about, the president said that it was because they didn't have enough people to make sure that they were processing the arriving evacuees. Is that a failure of this department to have enough consular officers on hand to process as many people as you had coming in?
So, Connor, what I'll say is this is a complex operation, the likes of which haven't been attempted. When I say it's complex, it involves the Department of Defense, Department of State, Department of Homeland Security, primarily in that context. So it's a matter of transporting people from Kabul to Doha. It's a matter of having facilities like the one in Doha, like the one in Ramstein, like the facilities that will be coming online elsewhere. But there's also a DHS component to this, because in Doha, there is immigration processing, there's biometric processing that is taking place. And so there are a number of steps that individuals go through before they transit from Doha. But again,
Will that continue now, or will people just get off of one plane and get on another when they're heading on to?
our goal is to make these intermediate stops, like the one in Doha, as brief as possible. Our goal is to have people reach their final destinations, whether that is the United States, whether that is another third country that has generously agreed to open its doors, to open its borders to those at risk and needing refuge. And so that would be our goal.
Follow up on this. It's important to have these agreements, but it's also important that people have access to the airport. And it continues to be the case that many Afghans and many American citizens and lawful permanent residents as well have not been able to get through. Are you denying, is the administration denying, as the president did earlier, that is the case?
I don't think anyone is denying the reports that are out there. Every single report that we see, and we're seeing some of the same reports you are. In fact, they're coming from some of your networks, the anecdotal reports, the reports on Twitter, on social media. Every single report of impeded access is something we take extraordinarily seriously. The stories that we're hearing from some of these individuals are harrowing. What I can tell you, what I can confirm for you, is what we have heard firsthand. And we often have the best data when it comes to the American people, when it comes to U.S. citizens who are in Afghanistan. As I've said, we have been in regular touch with U.S. citizens in Afghanistan during this evacuation effort and regularly before that, offering them guidance about the security risks of remaining in Afghanistan, which of course have been profound for some time. As we've been in touch with American citizens, as we have directed them to consider making that transit to the airport compound, we have received only a small number of reports from American citizens that their access has been impeded in some way, that they have faced any sort of hardship or resistance getting to the airport. Having said all that, this is an issue that we take with the utmost importance. We're treating it with the utmost importance. And that is why, through both political and military channels, we are engaging with the Taliban to do everything we can to facilitate safe passage. Safe passage for Americans, safe passage for third country nationals, but also, of course, safe passage for Afghans who may be at risk. And many of these harrowing stories are emanating from Afghans who are finding resistance, individuals who may not have a blue passport. And so we're taking that very seriously. In all of our engagements...
When you raise this with the Taliban, what is their response to you? And you say again and again that these conversations have been productive or constructive. Have they made this commitment to you again and again? And if so, it's clearly not bearing out on the ground. So what are you willing to do about it?
The Taliban have told us the same thing they have said publicly, that they have no intention of impeding our operations or of standing in the way of those who are seeking passage to the airport. Again, they're
on a disconnect between the fighters and the leadership?
Well, again, I've said this in several different contexts. Their words are one thing. The only thing that matters to us are the actions.
But on day 5 now, their actions have shown that they're not willing to give people passage.
Well,
who do not have US
again, Connor, we can only speak to our firsthand accounts. And most of those firsthand accounts come to us from the American people, from U.S. citizens with whom we've been in contact on the ground, and to whom we've provided direct and specific instructions about when and how they might seek to reach the airport. And we have not received a large number. In fact, we've only received a small number and sporadic reports of individuals whose passage has been impeded. But that doesn't mean we're going to diminish in any way our efforts to impress upon the Taliban the importance of this. The other point I would make is that it is not just the United States that is saying this. More than 100 countries, 112 countries at last count, have come together to make the point that their citizens, that third country nationals, and that all Afghans, all people in Kabul or Afghanistan more broadly, should be afforded the right of safe passage. We have been nothing but clear with the Taliban. They know that where we stand on this. They also know of the severe and significant consequences should they seek to disrupt our operations or seek to threaten, seek to inflict harm upon our people. I can tell you, and this is relevant to the question. The special representative remains in Doha. He has continued to be in contact with the Taliban political office leadership that remains there in Doha. We have a military channel, as we've talked about as well, and we've impressed this upon them in both channels. For what it's worth, the Taliban, relevant to the ability of people to leave the country going forward, have assured us that they will allow Afghans who wish to leave the country to do so after August 31st. They at least profess to agree with us that a functioning, secure, and operational airport is essential to the well-being of the Afghan people and the maintenance of the Afghan economy. We agree with that. So there is certainly the possibility, and it's one we're going to continue to push for in every way we can with our international partners, that even once the U.S. military is no longer running the airport compound, that the civilian airport will be running, will be accessible to commercial flights, to charter flights, and importantly, and this is something, a task that will remain even after the U.S. military and our diplomatic presence is gone, importantly, the Taliban must live up to its word about allowing safe passage to those who are seeking to go to the airport. I